Indiana University spent about $2 million rehabbing the Jordan River this past year. In addition to putting in a new bridge, IU took care of erosion and invasive plants on the river's banks. In our latest installment of City Limits, reporter Mitch Legan took a deep dive into the history of IU's Jordan River.
Laurel Bender has been walking along the Jordan River for close to 30 years. After moving with her family to a house on North Park Avenue in 1990, the Benders began visiting the nearby stream frequently. Now, 29 years and many walks later, Bender wants to know the history of the Jordan.
I guess the main thing I was curious about is why our river, our little river, is routed underneath the city, starting at the eastern edge of the campus at Sample Gates.
Well, the first thing to know about the Jordan River is that it hasn't always been called the Jordan. In fact, it wasn't formally named that until 1994. Originally, back in the 1800s, it was called Spanker's Branch, but it's unclear why. Some accounts say it was named after someone, while others say it's because mothers would spank their children for playing in the stream. Spanker's Branch unofficially became the Jordan in the late 19th century, when former IU president David Starr Jordan left the university.
He left IU to become the first president of Stanford University, and the trustees wanted to honor him, and they named the Spanker's Branch after him.
Legend has it that they originally offered to name a building after Jordan, but he joked that the small stream on campus would be much more fitting.
So that was sort of an informal kind of thing, and there's no record in the Board of Trustees minutes and things like that, but eventually people started calling it the Jordan River rather than Spanker's Branch. Sometime probably by the 1920s.
At the same time, Bloomington was seeing tremendous population growth. Records show that this was when the city began enclosing parts of the Jordan, presumably to help create more room for a rapidly expanding city. The portion on IU's campus was left untouched, though, for all to enjoy. And for a long time, it was best to look and not touch. Since the Jordan is such a small, slow-flowing stream, some bacteria and other microorganisms have thrived. Excessively high levels of coliform were reported in the Jordan in 1969.
I know back during the first Earth Day in 1970, there was these tours to sort of show the Jordan River as this polluted stream.
There's also another reason it's best to stay out of the water. See, back in 1993, an IU student was actually playing in the river after a heavy rainfall. He ended up getting sucked into this storm drain right here, which travels underneath the city. He took a ride for about 3/4 of a mile before popping up on the corner of First and Walnut, where he was rescued by authorities.
When we looked at the walls and things like that, there was all kinds of steel bars and rebar and other kinds of obstructions, and sometimes the actual circumference of the tunnel was not that big, and so this guy was really lucky that he did not get hung up.
When the river re-emerges at the corner of First and Walnut, it becomes Clear Creek and passes through the developing Switchyard Park. Bender also wanted to know the plans for the river when it gets to the new city park.
I've been down there and I see that they're doing a lot of digging and putting in new pipes and things, and I wonder if there's going to be a rerouting somewhat of the river there.
Dave Williams, who is overseeing the development of the park, says the stream at that point will be opened up and become more of a focal point than an underground afterthought.
We wanted to make it a public feature, an environmental feature, so we're basically bringing Clear Creek back to life through the center of the park. We have a very large wetland basin that we're creating that will daylight Clear Creek instead of being in a culvert under the property.
Williams added that if things go according to plan, part of the park will be open to the public this November. For Indiana Newsdesk, I'm Mitch Legan.